So we will start, and thank you very much for joining this webinar. So today is joint webinar of Partisan and Nx Optix. So basically today webinar is about some nice collaboration of our two companies. Why? Because basically Partisan as a European manufacturer of hardware and Nx as a US manufacturer of the software. I think we are quite on the same page with the basically customer base, with the software understanding, with the customer experience understanding, and many other mutual points, let's say like this. So actually, that's why I think it will be beneficial for our customers if we're going to introduce Nx to basically their end customers and their projects, and vice versa. It will be quite beneficial for the customers of Nx to know more about Partisan as a hardware manufacturer, as a kind of alternative for Chinese brands and everything like that. So it will be two parts. First part will be more theoretical one. So I will explain and I will tell some more information about who is Partisan and some product lines which could be interested in a project, because when we are talking about some professional VMSs and some bigger projects, so definitely it will be high level of equipment and high level of requirements from the customer side. And of course, it can be like whole the model range which we are distributing and producing. So it will be some really interesting dedicated models which I'm going to highlight during this webinar. And the second part will be led by Nx, and the guys from there will explain you how it looks like from the software part. So they will tell you and show you more information about basically VMS, how does it work, how does it looks like, what kind of interface they are providing to the customers, what kind of solutions and what kind of projects could be covered by the software. And I think it will be quite useful for you to understand how it's going to work together with the Partisan hardware and basically with other hardware if you like. So we're going to start from Partisan. So basically, I will introduce it from the very beginning, because definitely there will be some guys who hearing about Partisan first time. So Partisan, we're calling it's like IKEA of the security market. So it means we're making complicated systems simple, and we are big fans and we're quite dedicated of kind of simple interfaces, very simple customer experience. So it should be very user-friendly. Everything what we are doing, starting from the cameras and our apps and everything what we are producing and delivering to the customers. So basically, here, I think is our one of the main mutual points with Nx, because the philosophy of Nx and Partisan is quite similar. So it shouldn't be complicated, it shouldn't be heavy, it shouldn't be quite expensive. So fair price, very nice light solution, and very user-friendly, everything what this basically customer can see and can try. So some key facts about Partisan. We were developed this brand in 2008. So for now, it's almost 13 years. We are on the market. We are selling to various countries, to various customers. We have a quite huge background with different projects all over the world. And of course, our main area of interest, the main region is still European countries, CIS countries, and the Middle East. So for now, we're one of the fastest growing security systems brands in the world. And the same Nx, so it's one of the fastest growing brands with the software VMSs. So this is another mutual point, which is quite nice. Also, for us and for our basically customers, we think that our products as a hardware is best fit for some SMB installing and the distributing partners. So it means we're not trying to put ourselves into huge and some giant projects. So we're trying to dedicate ourselves to some small and middle class of the projects. And same, I can see that Nx is quite good choice for some mid projects up to higher projects and bigger projects. We have our regional warehouses and representative offices. Of course, our main head office now in Prague in Czech Republic. Also, we have an office in Kiev in Ukraine, which is covering CIS countries and other border countries. And we have quite a lot of representative offices, which is led by our local partners. For example, in UAE, Dubai, we have our exclusive distributors who is dealing with the Partisan within UAE. So they are delivering the technical solutions, the hardware, the software solutions, and everything like that. We have companies and partners in Africa, in Israel, in some other countries. So basically, more or less, this region is quite good covered by our partners and our warehouses. So it could be very quite fast and convenient to buy some products and use our hardware in various projects. Also, before the COVID time, let's say like this, it was quite popular to attend some physical fairs. Unfortunately, last 2 years, it was not like that. But anyways, since 2008, we was presented in mainly all the biggest fairs and security shows all over the world. So it was various exhibitions which was covering Middle East and Africa, such as Intersac in UAE in Dubai, Security Essen in Germany, IFSAC in the United Kingdom. In Czech Republic, it was some local fairs. It was Securex in South Africa. It was Serbian different fairs. It was Poland as a Securex. It was one of the biggest Adrian exhibition, Adria Security Summit, which is the main event show in the Balkans. And of course, in Ukraine, we attending Bezpeka. So basically, it was quite good and nice. I'm not sure how gonna be next. I think next year will be much better than this year and previous one, but we will see, because now some of the exhibitions turn out to some virtual shows. But anyways, we will be there, we are there, and we are ready to present our products and our new product lines within even virtual channels. So that's quite fine and quite nice. About our geography, like I said, so our main sales territories is still Europe, CS with Ukraine and Georgia, Middle East and Africa. So our own offices and showrooms we have in Czech Republic, in Prague, in Ukraine, in Kiev. We have official showroom in Dubai, which is held by our local exclusive partners. And we have a lot of different regional warehouses. So it means you can buy the products in these countries within 1, maximum 2 days. So our partners there, they're keeping a stock, and that's not a problem to buy something with the same good price, with the same availability, and of course, with the pre-sales and after-sales technical support. Who is our main customers? Just to give you some understanding, of course, we think that the flesh and blood of our business is installing companies who is installing products. And of course, we're trying to do our best to make our cameras and our NVRs and DVRs to be really suitable and convenient for them in regards of options, functions, and the price, of course. It could be security companies as well, because we have a couple of different solutions, such as a SAS solution for the security companies. So actually, we have distributors, small to mid-size, for some countries where we are not presented well, for example. Of course, we have a lot of different countries, a lot of different languages and regions and so on. So in those countries, we are mostly relying on distributors, which are basically keeping our stock, making, like I said, pre-sales, after-sales support, and providing all the best what we can offer to the local market. Now is a couple of words about where is Partisan equipment installed. So basically, we have different and a lot of different installations all over the world, and there is such projects like government projects, a lot of different retail projects, hospitality projects, some industrial projects, banking, logistics, commercial and residential property, historical and cultural heritage, and of course some sports and entertainment projects. So last time it was a lot of different installations in, for example, stadiums, where we've been making some temperature measurement and face recognition control for the visitors after, let's say, after pandemic time. And of course, a lot of big brands known all over the world are using Partisan equipment in their business. So it's one of the most famous is here. It's like a Ferrari showrooms, Leroy Merlin, Infinity, Adidas, Spar. It's a network of different supermarkets with the food. So basically, we have a lot of different companies who is actually also secured by our cameras and various software, starting from our own free software, and also they're using kind of professional VMSs. So I'm sure that many more to come with the Nx software. So that's why we're here today. And now it's a couple of words about Partisan products. So like I said at the beginning, so our product is best solution for the best price, and we're trying to make some best fit for our customers. So we are quite flexible in that. We're not a kind of huge million of people corporation. So we are still kind of small company of 50 plus people. And that's why we are quite flexible. We have a spirit of the startup, and basically we're trying to go to our customers because we are producing not, according to some internal idea or to some government idea, like it's in China. And a lot of companies are really making some business plans according to the government ideas and everything. So basically our main inspiration is the customers, and we are trying to fulfill the customers at maximum, at 100% if it's possible, even more. So we have now our own assembly line in Czech Republic, of course, and basically we are assembling here the wide variety of different products. So starting from the access control and the CCTV, and also it's kind of a smart home solutions and systems. We are producing here kind of accessories, such as the back boxes for the cameras. We have our own production line for some small accessories like that. And like I said, so we have R&D, which is located in Ukraine. So the guys are developing the software because, as you might know, the Ukrainian R&D guys are one of the best in the world. So to make some really best product, you have to hire some best talent and the best guys in your team. So that's why we have a strategy like that. So we're not trying to grow, in the quantity, we're trying to grow in the quality and basically deliver this quality to our customers. In the IP CCTV segment, we have different cameras. Mostly it's 5 and 8 megapixel, which is popular now. And of course, we have some solutions up to 9 megapixels. Every camera is supporting ONVIF, RTSP, could be integrated in Nx very easily. So we have different cameras with IR light, with white light, and it could be working on different platforms in Windows, Linux, and Mac, of course. So we have also different product lines, some basic ones, some mid ones, and of course some project-based, which have some special features, which is hardly can be found on the market. So basically, due to that, we are trying to win as more projects as it possible. So for example, in all our cameras, we're trying to use the best solutions and the sensors in the world. So in some cameras, it's the Sony sensors. In some cameras, it's Panasonic. We're also using OmniVision and US-based Aptina. So, but of course, it's up to basically the level of the products. And of course, in the basic level, we are using some OEM sensors, which we are making ourselves. So in the top levels, of course, it's Sony sensors. Now we have a different camera product lines, and like I said at the beginning, so I would like to explain and discover more, basically more professional lines of the cameras we have, which you're going to use most probably with Nx software, as it's professional VMS for the professional and the good projects. So in our cameras, there is various different smart functions, which will be integrated very soon into the Nx, because now it's not available, but we are on the way to that actually. So it could be perimeter intrusion detection, it could be line crossing, stationary object detection, pedestrian detection, face detection, and also cross counting. So this series of professional cameras we are calling SH series. And the cameras here are starting from 5 megapixel. Majority of the cameras are having true WDR, are having a starlight or some white light, like a full color. And also those cameras are more professional, more powerful, and delivering you a lot of different smart functions, as was basically mentioned before. One of the new and one of the best-selling cameras so far, we just launched it, I think, last month. So it's the new camera with the white floodlight. So it's full color camera, dome camera with a hybrid solution for the lighting. So basically this camera having the IR light, which is classic IR actually, and also white light. So which is giving you kind of different options. So it could be normal black and white image during night. It could be white LED and color image during the night, even in the pitch dark. And of course, it could be some smarter idea when you basically can switch the white light only when there will be noticed some human detection. So basically, if there is no humans in the scene on the picture, so the camera will be black and white, just not to, you know, annoy a lot your neighbors or something like that. But once it will be some real danger, it will be detected some human. So this camera will switch on the white light and you will see everything in a full color like it's on the daytime. So basically this camera is equipped with the PIR sensor, with the human detection functions, with the high sensitivity sensor, and of course with the white floodlight. And this camera is 5 megapixels Super HD. The same, we have a similar model, but in bullet shape, which is not so popular in some countries, but vice versa, in some countries, they prefer the bullet cameras for the outdoors. Actually, this camera is a bit better than previous one, only due to the microphone and the speaker. Both of them are built into this camera. And actually, you can also put some SD card inside. So actually, all the rest is the same. The camera having the hybrid lights and the full color. During the nighttime, if you want, you can switch it on. And basically, both of the cameras are really nice deterrent cameras. So when you are using them in some professional VMS software, so actually it will bring you some real power to control all your territory and see every single corner in real good quality 24/7. Partisan fisheye, it's 5 or 9 megapixel cameras, which is also nice. We have basically a lot of different projects where our customers use these cameras. Some of them are thinking basically that the fisheye camera is kind of, you know, some really high level product. But in my opinion, it could be used even in small retail shops and everything like that, because we have our customers been installing that camera in the restaurants, in some small petrol stations, and also in the big factories, in the big farms, in the big industrial places. So actually this camera is bringing you really nice overview, 360 degrees, and you can drop this camera, you can see every single details. And actually it's a really nice solution for a lot of different projects, so which I can of course recommend. Also about the PTZ cameras. So this is the IPS series of our cameras. All of them are Starlight, and we have a 20x zoom, and we have a 30x zoom as well. So basically those cameras are equipped with the face detection, auto tracking, built-in microphone and speaker. Also, you can make some pre-recorded warnings to this camera. So it could be kind of a real powerful instrument and tool for basically working on some remote territories. And if you can connect this camera to the monitoring station, for example, so it will bring you additional benefit, because security guard can really ensure that no intruders will be there, or if anyone will appear there. So basically they can try to, you know, warn them and try to avoid some penetration from their side. So this is how it works. So the camera basically working together in the best way with some fixed camera. So for example, you have a fixed camera to just bring you some general overview of the territory. And next one, this camera, which is PTZ camera, will be just tracking the moving objects, which is also quite nice. A few words about our partnership program. So actually, with Partisan, you are always can earn more money. So, you know, business is about money, of course. So that's why this is the first point. So actually it could be nice brands, it could be nice products and everything, such as an Apple, you know. But if you cannot make money on that product, so it doesn't help you and doesn't help your business to grow. So that's the main issue. And that's why we think this is point number one, because our philosophy and our basically strategy is not to sell everything to everybody. So we're trying to make some real good distribution channels and support our distributors, our installers, our resellers with some proper pricing, with some proper margin, and with protection of their market and their customers and their projects. So basically, with Partisan, you can count on always the best prices and really good discounts and protection of your market. So The quality of the product is high, so that's why we're giving 3 years warranty for all Partisan equipment, because it's it's simply reliable, and it's really nice because you can work with this equipment for many years. And actually, we have quite a lot of customers who is still owners of our first cameras, which is 10 years and more. So, which says something, right? I think, and this is how our customers thinking, we have one of the best technical support in the market of CCTV. We have 7 days a week, and without any day offs and holidays. Guys are working without the breaks, and they are basically not just guys from the university or something like that. So all of them are really skilled and professional engineers, which have quite a good experience, and they was previously, some of them previously wasn't installers. So that's why they are quite good, understand what's going on, how to help to our customer, and they're always trying to do a bit more, just not to make a solution and that's it, but to bring some more understanding to the customer, how to resolve some similar issue next time. One of the next feature is confidence today and in the future. So of course we have a project protection, same as with the Nx software, and alone as a Partisan hardware, we can protect your projects. So if you can send some notification to us that you are expecting to use our products, software and hardware in some projects, so of course it will be reserved for you, and you will never face the situation that we're trying to avoid you and sell it directly, or some other guy is selling directly to your customer with the same or better prices. So we're trying to support our customers at 100%, like I said at the beginning, and it's not just the words. And of course, we are trying to bring you more business, because all the inquiries we're trying to manage through our local distributors and the resellers. It doesn't matter if you have exclusive terms or if you have just a distribution agreement with us. So basically, we are not likely working with all the customers. Like I said, at the point number one, we're not trying to sell everything to everybody. If we have a nice and reliable customer in this area or in this city or in this region, so we're definitely trying to support this guy and give him more business. And that's why he will feel like we are bringing him much more value than other companies who doesn't care, because we're basically growing together with our partners. We're not trying, to squeeze our partners and just push them to sell. So I think it's like a teamwork, and it's like a team result after all. So that's a very short introduction about Partisan, as I can say. And basically, I would like to give a word to my partner today, James from Nx. So I think he can replace me on the microphone and step in with the entertainment. It will be a demo of the software, so which is less boring than just flat information from my side.
That's it. Perfect. No, thank you for the presentation. It was really good. As you said, we're starting a kind of a new partnership with Partisan. We always like to find new technology out there, and like good security companies, and see how we can kind of work together. Some of the things with Partisan that we kind of really liked is the fact that it's manufactured in Europe, which makes a big difference, right? With some of the global issues going on with cameras manufactured in other regions, especially with supply chain issues and things. So it kind of was a starter while we started discussing things, but then obviously just the points that Dimitri made at the end there regarding the way that they work with their partners in terms of it being a true partnership and not just trying to push someone to sell, is something that we highly believe in as well. Yeah, it sounds like we should be having a pretty good partnership moving forward. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. So let me share my screen. I'll try not to spend too long on the presentation. Don't want to bore you with slides. So I'll just do a quick intro so you guys can understand who we are. And then what I'll do is I'll actually give you a demo of the software, a live demo, which should give you a better understanding of exactly what we can do. And how we can kind of work in cooperation with the Partisan camera products. So a little bit about our company. Our company, Network Optix, we were founded in 2010. We're based in California, in Burbank. We have offices around the world. So we have offices in Moscow, Taipei in Taiwan, Amsterdam, Adelaide in Australia, Paris, Barcelona, which is where I'm based, and Kiev, which is where Sergey, who's also on the call, is based. So the first release we actually did was in 2012, which was kind of our very basic version. And really from there, we've really packed in a lot of features to go from being kind of an entry-level system to an enterprise system that does thousands of camera projects in one go. So in 2016, we're actually listed as the 7th fastest growing software company, not just security company, but the 7th fastest growing software company in the United States. So we were growing pretty fast at that point, and we really haven't slowed down. So you'll see that from the amount of features we've managed to pack in an 8-year period. So the core philosophy. So why do we make this platform, right? Like what's different to the other platforms? So we took a look at video back in 2010, and there was a lot of old product. There still is a lot of old product, at least that's not been redesigned since it was first invented. And being a newer company, we could design a new platform based on what we'd call modern day principles and modern day technology, right? So what that allowed us to do is we wanted to make a platform that was a lot more usable. UX, UI design has become more and more of a big thing in the last 10, 15 years. Like 20 years ago, UX designers didn't even exist really. So we got professional UX and UI designers in, and we said, forget about how video is done before. If you were to build a new platform based on today's technology, what would be the best way to do it? And make it as easy and user-friendly as possible. Because let's face it, the people that use these platforms every day, the security guards or their admin personnel, they're not necessarily tech heads or techie people that are actually using it. So making it really friendly and easy to grab video and use is a big key for us. The lightweightness of the platform. So a lot of other platforms out there require really heavy servers, really heavy hardware to actually run them. Plus you need multiple servers, management systems and things like that. We've gone really lightweight. We've managed to keep all the same features as everybody else, but we can do 128 cameras on a single core of a Core i3 processor. So where you would used to have, your quad core Xeons, we don't need that. We can use off the shelf, Core i3 hardware. So really simple, really easy to install. We can even install on Raspberry Pis. That's how lightweight we are. But also the speed of the system. So we use something called adaptive scaling, which I'll show you in a little while. But it basically allows us to deliver video based off of your network and your computer resources on your client side to make sure that you can always get video. There's no lags or anything. So we've really focused on the technology in the back end as well, where a lot of other people are still running the same code they built in the 90s. So we've really had a big advantage there. And then the last part is the extensibility. What we've noticed lately is security's become a lot more niche in terms of what people want. It's not like this is your security platform, this is what you have to deal with it. It's now, okay, I really want like this specific feature. I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to do that. So we've created a lot of tools in the platform with REST APIs, SDKs, and if then kind of engine, like the rules and events engine, to really allow someone to create these customized solutions, which is why we used in systems from 4-camera private homes all the way up to multi-thousand camera manufacturing sites that are running automation and QC and everything all through our system. So it's really, really scalable and extensible in terms of if someone's got an idea of how they want their solution to be, we will be able to figure out a way to do it, that's for sure. So that's kind of just to give you an idea of the core of it. So a couple of other things. So like I said, built for users, we already discussed. We support 99% of the cameras out there. It's cross-platform. So the server software will run on Linux, it will run on Windows. You can run it on a virtual machine, you can run it on Docker. It runs on ARM-based devices. The client platform runs on Mac OS X, it runs on Linux, it runs on Windows. There's a web version of it, there's app versions. It's very accessible. Which is huge because a lot of other platforms, you either have to just use Windows or you can use Linux, but then there's no like Mac client. And we've really tried to make it as accessible as possible. So fast on all standard hardware. As I mentioned, we don't need any specialized hardware. The server can be a Core i3. The server could be a Celeron processor if it's less than 50 cameras. It's really light. The client hardware itself as well, because of our adaptive scaling, again, you don't need anything overpowered. It depends on what you're trying to look at. We scale the video based on how much you're trying to see, because if you've got 16 videos on a screen, you've only got a 4K monitor. So there's no point having 16 4K streams going to a 4K monitor. The math doesn't work out there, right? So we'll scale it down so it doesn't kill your network. Your computer's not trying to decode 16 4K streams. It makes it a lot faster and a lot more intuitive. The dependability of the system. So we have something called a Hive architecture. It's a little bit difficult to explain, but instead of having a central management server, which is what pretty much, I think 90% of the systems out there have now, we have a Hive architecture. What this means is if you have multiple devices, recording devices, which we would classify as a server, on a single network, they all cross-communicate with each other, and they all replicate each other's databases to basically create a single cluster. So if you've got 150 cameras on a site, you could have 3 different recording devices, each one with 50 cameras on. They all communicate and cross-communicate with each other, which means you can use the IP address of any of them, and it will actually access the entire system for you. And it doesn't. There's no single point of failure, because there's no one server that's your management server or access server. And it also means if one of the servers fails, in that scenario, the 50 cameras would jump to the other 2 servers or recording devices. So you'd have 75 on each then. Stay recording, stay live. When you get it back up, they move back across again. And that's all built in as a feature. There's no extra costs to things like failover. You don't need to buy any extra licensing. You don't need hardware that's sat there doing nothing, just waiting to shine to like the other server to break down. So it's a very strong feature in terms of the fact that if a server goes down, its cameras will distribute to other servers to stay live all the time. So we're using a lot of critical infrastructure because of how fast and how efficient our failover system is. Integrate anything. So I mentioned the extensibility of the system, customizable as well, which I also mentioned. And then so the saved money part, which obviously, as Dimitri mentioned, everybody wants the bottom line is always money. So for the saved money part, we're a lot more cost effective in terms of obviously the hardware we've discussed. We reduced the hardware costs by 50 to 60% on most systems, because you don't have to buy the really expensive high-end Dell servers with 64 gigs of RAM and Xeon processors. We're pretty good with a Core i3 processor and 8 to 16 gigs of RAM on an Intel NUC if you wanted to, if you're pushing the data to a storage device. So save a lot of money in that terms. We have no ongoing fees. So where a lot of other systems you have to pay annual fees to get updates and upgrades, we don't have that. The system is free to update for life. So once you've bought your camera licenses, the upgrades and updates are free from there on. So you're never caught with that. 3 years down the line, you need to get a new support for a new camera, and you've got to suddenly pay for a whole bunch of more update licenses. Also, we don't have server fees or client fees or any hidden fees. Basically, we just have, if you're recording 10 cameras, it's 10 licenses. So it's very simple in terms of the quoting side of it as well. We've tried to make it simple from the start to the end, from the quoting process to the design process to the installation process to the user process. We've really focused on that usability side of it. So what I'm going to do is, rather than carry on through this presentation, now you've got a kind of general idea of our philosophy and who we are, I'm going to jump out of this presentation, and I'm actually going to give you a live demo of the system, because giving you a live demo really talks a lot more than just showing you a presentation. So you should be able to still see my screen and hopefully see the Nx Witness W in the background. So if you can't, please let me know, Dimitri. So the general layout, we have, as I said, the usability side, right? So we did something called a single UI design. What that means is there's no section for live, and then you go to a different section for playback, then you go to a different section for all your settings. We try to make everything accessible from the single UI. So if we just want to grab some cameras out, obviously we have our cameras on the left-hand side. As you can see, I can grab those and pull those out. So the video that I've just loaded, this is streaming to me from the US and California. So you can see how quickly I can grab that video. I'm based in Barcelona. So I'm getting the video from our server in the US to me in Barcelona, and then that's obviously going over Zoom to wherever you guys happen to be. So it's very fast in terms of the way that happens. So as I mentioned, we do something called adaptive scaling. The way that the adaptive scaling works, you can see here, some of our cameras have gone to high res, some are in low res. What that means is it's trying to give me high resolution. So if I've got a gigabit backbone and I've got, a Core i7 with a NVIDIA GPU, then I'm going to get everything in high res. If one of the cameras starts to drop frames, it's going to knock the one camera that's dropping frames down to low res. So for instance, this one's dropping frames, so it's gone to low res, but this one's still good, it's in high res. Same as this one, this is in high, this is in high, and this is in low. The size of the camera on the screen, you're not sacrificing anything because my screen is 1080p. This camera is actually running in low resolution at 780. So it's actually way higher resolution than the actual allotted space on my screen anyway. But it's intelligent enough to know when it needs to deliver different things. So if I start making my layout, so you can see our completely customizable layouts, we're not stuck to any grids or anything like that. I can completely move and drag things around and build a layout exactly how I want it to be. Now I've started moving things around. This camera has actually gone to, well, it did go to high res, and then the other cameras will be sacrificed first. The reason for that is it knows that this camera is bigger than all the other cameras. So even if it's this camera that's dropped the frame, it's not going to knock this one down because it's larger on the screen. It's going to knock the other ones down because they don't need to be that resolution. So this makes a huge impact in terms of the viewing experience, especially for people that don't necessarily understand networking or bandwidth or the difference between resolutions and how that impacts your viewing capabilities. So it basically means that your video is a lot faster, a lot smoother, but it's all automated in the background. So you don't have to educate your customers. You don't have to educate the market on what low resolution is, what high resolution is, when to use what. We'll figure it all out in the back end. So it makes for a lot more intuitive and speedy system. So if I swap two of these out again, you'll see this one will now go to high. If that loses or drops a frame, there you go, it will drop down to low res. So it's pretty smooth, pretty fast in those respects. On top of that, I was mentioning about the fact that it's a single UI, right? So if I want to go into playback, there's not a whole nother section of the software to go into playback. I have my timeline running at the bottom all the time. So I just point and click at any point, everything jumps back. Again, streaming from the US, you can see how quickly I can grab that footage, right? That was, 300 milliseconds maybe to grab me back to 14th of March. And I can do that again just so everyone can see. Everything just jumps back pretty fast in terms of when you're looking around the system. Unfortunately, nothing's moving in our office because no one's been in there for a long time. But it gives you a good idea of how everything's jumping around at pretty quick speeds. If you're looking for a specific date or time, this timeline is completely scalable. So I can scroll down all the way to frame by frame if I'm looking for something frame by frame. If I'm looking for a specific date or time with speed, we have our calendar icon here. As I said, we got UX and UI designer, so it's using the common standard icon sets that you would expect in most common software. So you know what a calendar looks like. Click the calendar. I can say I want to see the 1st of June at 2 p.m. The timeline is 2 p.m. on the 1st of June. I can hit 2:20. Now I'm at 2:20 on the 1st of June, and you saw all that jump back pretty quick. So it gives you an idea that in basically 3 or 4 clicks, I can get exactly the data that I want to very fast. And you can imagine if you're on a local system, not trying to stream this from the other side of the world, it's even faster than you're seeing right now. We can pull up thumbnails of the cameras as well if you want to see a breakdown of if you're looking for a car that was there and wasn't there. And then we can go more granular into this. So if we want to see, let's say, if I just cut this out real quick. Let's say on this one, I just want to see when, oh, actually, I've got a better camera for this. There we go. So this is a camera just outside in the US. Again, you can see the video is pretty smooth, coming all the way from the States and loads pretty quick. So if I want to just say, all right, show me a motion search, right? If I see a motion search on here, it's going to be full because this freeway in the background is constant, right? It's never slowing down. You can see all the red zones are where there's motion. So the whole thing is pretty much full of motion. What I want to do though, is I just want to see when there's cars coming down this side road. We have a feature built in called Smart Motion. So if I just draw my zone here, it's now only going to show me motion detection in that side here, where I can now pick out just cars on the side. So on the thumbnails here, you can see there's a car here. So if I double click it, it's got the car that I was looking for potentially. It's just going to now skip through all the times where there was motion in that one square. What's really cool about this is it works with any camera and the speed that it does it at. So just to give you an idea, I'll double click a little bit further back. So it's got that car. Once that's gone through the motion, it's going to give me the next one. Once that's gone through the motion, it's going to jump me through the next one. So now I can search for items a lot faster, right? I don't have to look through 12 hours of video anymore. I can look through 5 minutes of video and find what I'm looking for because I'm just using that smart motion search. What's cool about it is you saw the speed that I did that in. I just did, what's that, a month and a half's worth of data in about a second. So if I redraw the square, you can see how quickly it analyzes it. So there you go, it's done. So it's about a second. It's insanely fast and it works on any camera. So good use case scenario, like if you're in a car park, right? There's going to be a lot of traffic in a car park, lots of movement. General motion is irrelevant pretty much. So in terms of that scenario, you can just, let's say someone's crashed into one of the cars. You can draw the square over the car that got crashed into. You know it was there from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. So you just look at that gap and you'll find it in probably a 2-minute period rather than watching 12 hours of footage on fast forward. So it really adds a lot of value to the usability of the system. So then when you found your event that you want to export, so let's zoom down to one of these. Export we've done extremely smoothly as well. So let's say this is the event. So there was a yellow car that we wanted to find. I can just click and drag over it. And then I can right click that and then I can just export. So super quick, there's no start time, end time, and kind of all that kerfuffle that you get on a lot of other systems. It's just drag the section you want, export, and you're good. So you've got your timestamps you can add watermarking and logos as well. So you can add like your logo to it to show that it came from your office, for instance. We have rapid review as well, really handy. It's a time lapse. So if you've got, especially for construction companies, they set up for monitoring construction sites, they really like to actually take like the time lapse. So at the end of the day, they can take the 12-hour, like the 24 hours of footage as a 60-second video and have a time lapse to see how much was done in the day. Especially good for deliverables to clients. They can show like the kind of what's getting done each day in terms of the construction through a really nice little video. On top of that, we have what we call a multi-video. This is where you've got multiple videos that you want to put into a single package. This also includes the app with it. So if you don't have Nx installed on your computer, you can just double click it. It will open as an app. You can still move all the videos around, creating your layouts. You can still do the smart motion searching, and everything is all synced to a single kind of app version. So really good for delivering like a large amount of footage. And you can password protect that for critical infrastructure like banks, schools, and things like that. So it's got that extra layer of security and doesn't get into the wrong person's hands. And make it read-only as well, so you can't re-export single cameras from it, which is good for high security kind of environments. On top of that, we have kind of something for case reviewing, I guess is a good way to put it. In a scenario where you might have an event that's occurred and you're trying to explain to somebody what the event was, it can sometimes be a little bit cumbersome and convoluted for me to try and tell somebody else what the event was that occurred. So we have kind of a way to create a story and then be able to send it. So rather than writing out, spending an hour writing a long email saying, check camera 1 at this time, this is where you'll see the guy with the red hat running away. Now, if you go to camera 2 at this time, you can see his face because he comes under the bridge here. Now go back to camera 1 because he turned it, it's confusing. So what we can do is do a screen recording. What this does is it records my screen, it records my mouse, and it records my voice. So I can actually create a narrative. I can say, all right, down here, this is where you can see, I don't know, someone was in the office like picking things up. You can jump around the timeline, and we can move around the video. We can zoom down and say, this is the car that you drove off in, whatever it may be, right? And create that case file. And then we can actually save that as a single AVI file. What's good about it? It's only 2 or 3 megabyte file. I can attach it to an email. I could say, like, for instance, here, Dimitri, this is what I was talking about. Attach this to my email. He's got my mouse moving around. He would have my voice, but my mic's, because I'm currently taken over by Zoom, so he doesn't have my voice. But it would have my voice if I wasn't on Zoom right now. And it creates that full kind of case file to be able to share with someone. Obviously, for legal purposes, you've still got the official video. This is just a way of sharing information a lot faster than any other system has, basically. So pretty intuitive and flexible way of doing it. A couple of other things in terms of the UI and the way that it's kind of fits together. We've created a lot more tools in terms of making video a lot more about prevention and not just recall. Video was traditionally a recall tool. And now with situational awareness, with analytics, like the cameras, the Partisan cameras have the VCA in it, like the line crossing and things like that. If you have large infrastructure with 50, 75 cameras, where you would usually have, you'd have to have a lot of security guards watching it, or you have screen walls that are just rotating video. It's not overly useful because you can't see all that information. When you couple that with the VCA inside of a Partisan camera, like for instance, the person detection, the line crossing, all the in-camera analytics that they have, you then create what we call a situational awareness platform, which is where video that nothing's going on in, you don't care about as much. You still need to record it. It's still there when you need it. But the main thing is when, for instance, a line is crossed in the Partisan camera, that's when you want to know about it. So you might have an office that closes at 5 p.m. That's when the rule that there's a line behind the door, and if it's crossed past 5 p.m, I need to know about it. So that's where we can bring in this information and the analytics from the cameras, and that can use our rules and events engine, and it can send you a push notification to your phone to say this crossed at this point, and that's where you can jump onto the system. So now that person's crossed the line, you can start interacting with the cameras. One of the issues with a lot of systems is when you've got a lot of cameras open on your view. So let's say you had all your office map open, and you wanted to see the event that was occurring, you would double click the camera to see it in more detail. The downside now is I've lost live view of everything else. And this is where video now becomes a recall tool again, because even though I've got that information that someone's crossed the line, there might have been multiple people and there's other things going on in other rooms, but I'm fixated on this one camera. So what we have is we have a way of cropping out section parts of cameras, which means you can see them in more detail. So now I can see, for instance, this door area without having to double click it. But on top of that, you can use it like a magnifying glass into the system. So if I set up my camera a little bit different, or my layout a little bit different, I can take my square and I can actually drag it across cameras as well. So now if I'm in a stadium environment and I'm doing live monitoring, for instance, and I've got 20 cameras off to the side here, and I see commotion in one of the cameras, I can jump to it with this, zoom down into what I'm trying to look for, and then I can still see everything else out of the corner of my eye. So it allows me to keep a general live view of everything. And live view is always key in video systems when it's about prevention. And as you can see as well, one of the cool things with the adaptive scaling, it's intelligent enough to know that this square is going to need high resolution because it's zooming in on a section. So the other cameras are low res, but the one that I'm on is high. So if I jump from this one to this one will go down to low, and this camera will jump to high resolution. So this one's now in high res, and that one's in high still. It'll knock down to low if there's a frame drop, but there's no frame drops. But this one's in low at the top. So it's a pretty smooth way to look around your system and really get a good idea of what's going on without having to lose live view of everything. On top of that, we have a way to do live view plus playback next to each other. Another good scenario for this is if, let's say, a fight's broken out, right? And you want to, let's say some of the VCA on the cameras alerted you to, maybe it's not a fight, maybe there's an object theft or an object removal detected. It's alerted the system's then alerted you. You've then opened up that camera, and you can see 3 people walking away, but you're not sure who grabbed the object. In a lot of other systems, you jump into playback. Okay, I confirm it's the dude in the blue jacket that's done that. You go back to live. you have no idea where he's gone because he's disappeared already. So what we can do is we can duplicate a camera out. We can actually unsync the view, and now I can put one into playback. So you can see this is now in playback while the other one stays in live, and I can bring out other live cameras next to it. So if I see him walk, for instance, under the tunnel and I have a tunnel camera, I can pull that out. So I can keep an eye on what's going on in live while I'm confirming something. So in that scenario, like I said, there's object removal detection from the cameras. It's alerted us. We then need to do some investigation because there's 3 people in the frame. I want to keep an eye on where those 3 people are heading off to while I'm checking who removed the object, right? So I know who to go after. So lots of different scenarios that can come in very handy. But the idea is we've really tried to make this interface a lot more flexible, a lot more usable in terms of making sure you're not having to constantly go away from live view to be able to do anything. Even when you want to do settings, if I right click a camera, I go camera settings, it actually pops up in a pop-up window. So I can do all my camera settings. I can set my recording profiles, my motion profiles, everything from here while maintaining live view. So from an installer point of view, it means you can actually see what your settings are doing on the fly, which is a huge benefit for installers as well. One of the last kind of UI components I will show you, especially as Dimitri talked about fisheye cameras, right? He said about the fact that they're often seen as high-end and only used for certain high-end projects. Well, actually, they're really good for small projects as well, right? So waiting, well, our office has suddenly become very messy, so I apologize. You could use it in waiting rooms, you know, like doctors' waiting rooms, general coverage areas, and you can get a really good coverage where you might have to put a lot of cameras. You could have a fisheye camera. We do it a little bit differently. A lot of systems will take the multiple streams from the fisheye camera dewarped in the camera, and it comes out as 4 separate streams. We don't do that. We take the 1 stream. Advantage there is you're not taking 4 streams, so you're not recording 4 separate streams. It also gives you a little bit more flexibility in playback. So what we do, that same crop box that we used before to do the zooming, if I do the same thing here, it just dewarps it on the fly. This will work with any fisheye camera. It will work with a camera that's not fisheye technically, but someone's chucked a fisheye lens on it. It still works. We can dewarp it completely on the fly, and you can still move them around. And if I go into playback, for instance, so if I just jump back to here, you can still move around. Seems like the resolution of the camera was really bad when we recorded that. Oh, that's from 2017. That's why. That's some really old data that's left the server. But yeah, so we can jump into playback and still move it around. So for instance, in those scenarios where you're like, oh, actually, like we've missed the spot that we were looking for because the way we set it up, we can actually say, all right, let's move it to the correct spot. And then we can export this dewarped image. On top of that, we can actually, we can turn it into a digital PTZ camera. So I can actually look around the room. And I can also turn it into the full 360. So I still have the full view in a single video panel, but it doesn't feel like I'm looking down on everybody anymore. Now it feels like I'm looking from the side as a normal angle, just like a multi-head camera or something. So in terms of the fisheye usage, you get a lot of functionality out of fisheye cameras. And as Dimitri was saying, there's a lot of usage out there that people don't realize that they're really good for. So it's definitely worth looking out for seeing some projects that you could probably utilize the 2 systems together, especially for the fisheye side of things. Because as I said, it works pretty smoothly for that. So a couple of other things to finish up. We can bring in all the server monitoring on the system as well. So we can monitor everything on the system in terms of your CPU, your RAM. So this is really good for you know, your system installers that are looking at systems and trying to make sure that if there's any issues or faults on the system, that you can have some kind of base level to look at what's going on. Or for instance, before you know, for instance, this NX3 has got really high RAM usage, so there could be an issue with it. So it might be worth looking at it. Why is that RAM usage high? And we have a whole reporting system that will actually tell you the RAM usage, what percentage is being used by us, what percentage is being used by third-party systems. Same with the operating system. And we can also tell you what your decoding rates are, all via our cloud portal, which I'll show you in a moment. On top of this, we can make a full layout, so we can actually bring in some of the, let me actually change the aspect ratio to make it look nicer. We can bring in some of the cameras from our US office. I've also got our Taiwan office attached to this one, so our Taipei one, as I mentioned earlier. So I can actually bring in some of our Taipei office as well. And I can also bring in one from our other US office. We've only got these offices on this system, but that's about it. So we can actually create this view here. On top of that, we can bring in any web page. Again, this is for the extensibility. Basically, anything web-based can come into the system, which then allows you to basically create your own little widgets or anything like that that will come into the system. So if I just log in. This could be anything. It could be a weather feed. So we had some people in, like, for instance, correctional facilities. They wanted a weather feed inside of the system, so they knew when the weather was going to go bad, because then they usually get a rush of people that want to run inside, right, to get away from the rain. So inside of correctional facility, I've somehow forgotten my password, so let's not use this as an example. We'll just grab CNN, for instance, news feeds, or we actually had some security guards that had like a job system where when there was an alert, they had to log it inside of a logging system. So they just had a web-based logging system in here, as these pages are fully interactable, and you can click through and everything on them. So it basically just gives you web pages and things to do custom builds, or if someone wants some kind of other third-party modules, whether it be access control, alarm monitoring, or anything like that that's got a web interface, can all come into the system as well. So it gives you a very, very flexible and very powerful UI to really do different things. So that's kind of some of the main user features that I was going to show you. But one of the things I've been talking about is how getting alerts from cameras and getting alerts from systems and triggering different rules. If we right click on a camera, I can go to camera rules. This is our if then statements effectively. So I can say if any of these events happen, so for instance, all the health monitoring events, so I can even say if a camera disconnects, I want to get a push notification. So if you're a system admin, or if you've got guys where you've got maintenance contracts, you can actually have push notifications. So you know instantly if someone's camera goes down, or if there's a server failure or whatever it may be. And you can set the rules as well. So it doesn't tell you, like, you don't get 30 push notifications in the 30-second period. You can say only tell me, once every 24 hours, for instance. So lots of different things, motion detection, input triggers and different things like that. Analytic events, which we discussed, which can come from the cameras. So yeah, we'll still add those ones. So for instance, if we just jump down to a camera down here, you can see, if I don't have two selected, you can see all the camera events inside the camera. So like I mentioned, line crossing and things like that. We can grab the line crossing event. What do you want to do? I want it to show an alarm layout. I want to launch a layout. I can make it trigger an IP speaker and actually send a speech through it from this client. So it can be sent to everything. I can do bookmarks, and I can, like I said, push notifications to the mobile is a big one, because it comes through like a WhatsApp message or whatever. It's not an email or a log system where you kind of lose the event or you don't get instant notification. And PTT presets and all those kind of things. For the more techie people on the line, you can also do an HTTP request, which is really good and really quick for integrating with third-party systems. Or if you are, for instance, a maintenance guys or service provider, and you have your own job system, you can actually have this send a JSON URL to your job system and create a ticket, for instance, to say the camera's gone down, look at the camera. So yeah, quite a lot of flexibility in terms of what can be done there. So the last couple of things I'll show you, because I am taking a little bit too much time, so apologies for that. I get carried away because I'm too excited. I actually enjoy the products that I sell. So a couple of more things I'll show you. The cloud layer. We have a cloud layer which is about connectivity. Similar to like Partisan also has their cloud layer for connecting to cameras and things. The way that ours works is when you have servers connected to the cloud, they can all be accessed when you log in. So if I log out of my cloud account, which might be dangerous because I don't know the password, here goes nothing. I lose all access to all my systems. And then when I log back into my cloud account, all my systems come back again. So basically I can just log into my cloud account on any computer. All of these systems come back. One of the really cool things about the cloud, it's based on AWS, so it's very secure. Everything is encrypted. It also doesn't require any port forwarding, which is a big one because it means you don't have to argue with the IT guys. It also means you don't have to put holes in your firewalls. It uses something called NAT reversal to break through the firewall. So basically you don't actually have to open up any ports or anything, and you'll get instantly remote access. Really good for user management as well. What I'll do here is I'm just going to show you some of the deeper integrations with different AI products that we have. So I'm just going to go to our Texas lab, which is on here somewhere. Yep, Texas lab. So I'm just going to jump into the lab in Texas. And we've got some different AI running on this machine, just to give you an idea of what it looks like. So you can see here on the right-hand side, we have this objects tab. This works with in-camera and third-party analytics. So if it's facial recognition systems, if it's object classification systems or tracking systems, or license plate recognition. So you can see here, we've got, for instance, this is face tracking. It's detected that it's an adult, the gender, and that he wears glasses, doesn't wear glasses because they're on his head, not his face, and like that he's not wearing a hat, and I can double click and it will take me to that person. And I can start searching for events based on that. So I can start searching for female, male, whatever it may be. So you can see here, we've got the vehicle tracking. It's picked up that there's a car in there, and then it's black, and then it's a car. So I can search for car colors. You can see that it's picked up, obviously, the person on the side here, and it's picked up the face tracking. So it's picking up everything inside the frame. And all of this is searchable. So if I want to see at any point if there is a female that was in here, there's never been a female in this garage, apparently. If I want to see if there's a, I don't know, like a white car, let's just search white. Okay, apparently no white cars either. But you can search the things based on what you're looking for, right? So for instance, if I search black, it's going to show me all the black cars. Apparently it's not going to work this moment. It's going to give me the law of the demo. Something had to go wrong, right? And then you can filter that down as well. So I've got all my different, for instance, we use Face Me for the face detection. That's the ones that are in yellow. And you can see that you can just look for people, or this Harmar plugin happens to have face, license plate, and person. We have other systems that have bike detection, car detection, backpack detection, mobile detection, all the different types of object classification. And it's all searchable and filterable inside of our system, which means on our events timeline as well, all the yellow is when there is a person or an event detected. So you can just skip out all the bad motion zones now and just jump to areas where you want to see more detail. So you can see here, it needs a little bit of calibrating this camera, I think, but just to give you an idea of how that works and how the cloud layer works. So you actually have a cloud portal, just to finish up. This cloud portal gives you an idea of all the systems that are on your cloud account. You can have one system can be shared to multiple people's cloud accounts. You can give them whatever access rights you want to. And like I mentioned, one of the nice things about the access to the cloud. So here, for instance, I can just add a new user, put in their email address, whatever level I want to give them. Then our system will email that person, tell them to create their own username and password, show them how to access the cloud. Then they can click and instantly get access to the system. And then for all you service providers and system installers that are on the call, this is where you can see all the errors and everything I mentioned. So I can see there's a bunch of cameras with errors. I can click on it. It's going to show me the cameras live, the IP address. I can see basically it's averaging 11 frames per second, and the target's frames per second is 15 frames per second, which gives me a good idea the camera's probably degrading and it's going to probably fail soon. So it might be worth changing the camera, for instance, or maybe there's a settings issue. But it also shows me its average bit rate. It gives me a lot of information. Same for the servers. So there's some servers with errors here. I can click on the server. It's going to tell me that there's been the server's been offline 3 times in the last 24 hours, which is probably the issue there. Shows me the CPU usage, what percentage we're using. Same with the RAM. Shows me how much decoding speeds we've got. So really granular detail So you can start to really look into your systems. And if you're a service provider or a system installer, you've got all your customers' systems on your cloud account as well. So you can get all this information if someone's having issues on their site. You can look into it before really having to go to site and fix anything. So that was a really quick crash course in the system. Anyone who's interested in more of a demo or finding out more about the system, more than welcome to reach out to us or the Partisan team. We're going to be working quite closely for the foreseeable future. I think we've got a lot of work that we can do together. Like I mentioned, there's a few really good overlaps in terms of philosophy, but also like the fact that they're manufactured in Europe, and the in-camera AI, which we'll be working on getting connected with our system, will really give us that situational awareness thing, which I mentioned quite a few times, right? To make systems a lot more functional, a lot more usable than just being a recall system. So on that note, I will welcome Dimitri back in, and you can have any closing statements on top of what I've just finished with.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Basically, it was really entertaining for me as well. So I was really enjoying your demo and everything. So it was really a pleasure. Thank you very much. So basically, what we can do with that is really, if any one of you guys are interested in some deeper demo with our cameras, with some other third-party cameras, so don't hesitate to get in touch with my team or with anyone from Nx team, because I think here with us is also kind of a country managers together with James, right? So for CIS, I can see Sergey, yeah, and also maybe some other guys who is in charge of sales for the Nx in other countries. So actually, you can send some information, or if you have some questions, so welcome to send in chat. So we have a chat here, so you can ask some question if you still have something. Otherwise, we're gonna finish this meeting today. It will be recorded definitely in YouTube, and it will be launched in our channel and then Nx channel as well. So basically, all who join us later, or for everybody who doesn't have a possibility to join us today, so it will be possible to review it once again. But like James said, so basically I can just confirm, so live demo is the best demo comparing to the YouTube. So there is no completely any problem to get some demo key from Nx or some demo access to Partisan cameras to check them and try to test them all together. Okay. So now is the question, counting option for vehicle and persons. So I think James will answer you.
Sorry, I'm trying to look for where the question panel is.
Yeah, it's in chat. It's in chat, but okay. I will tell you. So counting option for vehicle and persons. So do you have something like that, and how does it work? I think the minimum.
Yeah, so we have quite a few different integrations for that. We have a marketplace or a works with a Nx store. So either it can be in camera if the cameras have the vehicle counting or people counting. Or it can be a third-party software. It's very flexible depending on what you need, and we can figure out a solution, and we can have like the counting and the number of in and out, for instance, on the actual video stream, so you can see how many in, how many out, or anything like that. And then if you have some of the in and out or the counting systems have like threshold alarms, so if there's more than 30 in, we can like set up an alarm, trigger a relay, and not let the doors open and things like that. So it's very flexible. So yeah, quite a few options. It just really depends on your use case, really.
Okay. Any other questions, guys?
Do you have people counting functions in the Partisan camera range, Dimitri?
Yeah. In some cameras, we have a people counting. That's not a problem.
So the two together should be able to deliver the solution they're looking for.
Unfortunately, vehicle counting we don't have. But we have kind of feature as a line crossing counting. So basically, if it's on the vehicle, so you still can have this counting option. So either it will be people, cars, or some other objects. So once it will be integrated all together, so it should work fine then. Okay, guys. So I think I must say thank you very much. So you finding the time for us today. So I was really happy to see a lot of guys here. So it was my pleasure. So I think next webinar we will schedule somewhere next week or week after. to make some more information about our new products. And then it will be some deeper functions and deeper rod testing for the Partisan cameras with Nx. Because today it was like a general overview of different functions and everything. So I think next time it will be something more dedicated to show the possibilities and basically performance of Partisan cameras with Nx software.
Exactly.
Mr. Mata is asking, so it's a joint venture of US and EU, right? So basically it's a collaboration. We as a European manufacturer of hardware highly recommend US software company Nx to be used with our hardware. So I think it's a really nice solution in any kind of project, starting from the small up to big one, because we all know that there is a lot of different VMS manufacturers who have a high level pricing, who have a high requirements for the hardware should be used. Like James explained, so Nx is completely from the different planet about that. So it's actually lightweight software, so you didn't have to spend millions to arrange the servers, which will be quite expensive as hell, which will need a lot of hard drives, a lot of CPU power and everything like that. So with Nx, you are saving on the software itself, you are saving on the hardware infrastructure itself. And of course, with the Partisan, you're also cost effective at the part of the CCTV system. So I think literally for any projects which is requiring professional VMS, it's kind of not only like a good venture. So it's one of the, prize killers, project winners, whatever you call it.
Yeah. So we have basically our solution partners and have good strength in certain areas. So one of the reason we started talking with the Partisan guys, as I said, we like the fact they're EU manufactured, and they have some good philosophies behind them as well. So we work with a lot of different companies, access control, AI companies, some other camera manufacturers, and we just the people that we think have a lot of benefit and a lot of advantage. So in the EU, we'll be working closely together to hopefully grow each other's markets and help all of the customers, ours and the Partisan customers, have a better solution overall.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, guys. So like I said, thank you very much. So for now, I think it's all. And the next session will be more deeply about some usual work for the Nx software with Partisan cameras. We'll think about some interesting agenda, how to test it, how to show you how to add this and how to make it more practical, I think. So since this one was more theoretical one and some introduction, so next step will be kind of a deeper knowledge, how to add the camera, how it should be working, what performance you can get from that. So maybe we can record a couple of cameras within a week or two to show basically how it's going to be then in the interface and everything like that. And maybe we can do some, user experience or success stories to explain what kind of projects is good to have and everything like that. So again, thank you very much, guys. It was my pleasure to spend some time with you and see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
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 Hello.